We are live around 48 hours until the League Championship Series. I'm here with my playoff analyst, Mr. Jack Abady.
Happy to be back.
Back by popular demand, by the way.
It's nice to know that the popular demand wanted me back and give the people what they want, is what they say.
They want to know what's really on your mind. They don't want someone that's going to hold back.
Yeah.
Let's very quickly get your reactions on the Phillies going down in 2 straight against the Lumber Kings this past Sunday.
You know, definitely says a lot about A.B. Saka. Team down and out from the beginning of the year, looking like, you know, what was going to be the Indians last year, or whoever that team would lost every game, you know, but he didn't let them get to that point. And they always believed, that team always believed that they were going to turn it around. And you listen to Saul talk every week, and you're like, dude, you don't got it, man. Stop. Just like, you want to give in. You're 2-6. How does it make sense? But no. And the whole team had it. And with that guy on the mound, you know, anything can happen, because you were saying that first playoff game that they had to play to even make the playoffs still, you know, Max pitched very well. But this guy's going to give you up 0, and there wasn't even a threat in that game. And you can talk all about one hit, and they had their problems, and they did a lot to help this no scoring. But A.B. Saka gets the glory, and then to carry that over and to take care of the Phillies the way they did, and then in the second game of Game 2, blowing the lead, and then still the team coming back right after that and walking off. You know, this team, you always say the teams get hot, and we were naming every team except this team. But this team looks like it's the hottest team. And you know what? Smackdown, you better watch out, because you're
so
facing the wrong team on the right week.
You led right into it, because now you have a team like the Lumber Kings that are red hot. 7 out of 9, and almost every game a must win, and they still needed help. They're on fire right now. They're feeling totally untouchables. Speaking of Jack Abady.
Similar story.
So, similar to the Untouchables, that they're getting hot at the right time. Similar to the Expos, but this team was so much more dead than both of those teams. This team was 1-7.
Yeah, I think we were 1-7 too.
Were you really?
1-7 and 3-7.
Oh wow! I didn't realize you were that.
1-7, pretty inept.
Okay, so now you have a team like Smackdown, who really went wire to wire and has not been. You could almost say not battle tested the whole time. Is that going to affect them?
And very young. You know, they don't even have guys who've been in a battle. Whether this season not battle tested at all, half the team hasn't been in any battle. You know, so Game 1, the first 3 innings are so important. It's a quick series. It's not 3 out of 5 where you can lean on AB to win you 2 games and hope the young kids come around in a long series. If they don't come out and play from ahead like they've been doing and take control of Game 1 and then ride an AB, it could be dicey for them. I'm not sure you're betting against the best team. They've proven they are the best team, but a lot of question marks of if they were the number 1 seed in last year's format, are they picking this team? I say no way.
No way.
That's why
are they
it's so
picking this
different,
team.
because now they're playing the hottest team with the second best pitcher in the league, and someone who's going to go toe-to-toe with AB, and the young guys are going to have to come up and produce. And then you look on the other side, and there's veteran bats in that Lumber King lineup who I think are capable of putting up runs against AB. And I think they played Week 1.
They did.
And they were winning both games. They somewhat found a way to lose. Yes. But in their head, they're saying we could have easily won those 2 games.
And they could have. Definitely one of them. They blew in the 7th inning.
You know what? If they play those games in Week 6 and Week 7, once this team got their mojo, you know, different stories. I think it's almost, you got to throw out regular season. And I think the worst thing SmackDown could be thinking is we're the number 1 seed and going in thinking they're number 1 seed. I think they got to be scrappy and realize nothing's given at this point. Look at the Phillies, the number 3 seed, home. Look at all these teams, home. You know, they're going to come out to play. It's going to be a dogfight, and it's probably going to go 3 games.
Now, not only would they not pick the Lumber Kings, if they had a second choice, they still would. I think they would pick both teams in the other series before they pick the Lumber Kings.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
I don't think the rule change is great for them this particular year, because they're facing
the hottest. But at least they don't have the pressure of they did pick the Lumber Kings, adding fuel. They just know they're playing the Lumber Kings. The Lumber Kings know they're playing them. This is the matchup, 1 versus 4. It happens to not be a great matchup, like we said, but it's going to be a very, very interesting series.
Now, is there so much more pressure on Navy for the reasons that you just said. Does he have to be perfect because his team is so young? And not just Navy, but like pressure on Max Sutton, Salim, anyone that's not 18 years old.
Definitely.
Like they really have to play perfect
And
the first
I think
3-4 innings.
offensively, they rely on the young guys also. So I think that's where it's tricky. It's like Max is going to be a steadying force at short, and I think he will be. And Salim probably at third. But this team didn't get here riding Salim and Max's back. And maybe for a lot of the year, you know, he did find his stride and had those dominant weeks. There were weeks where they were scoring runs and coming from behind, and it was the young guys doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So in those type of games, are the young guys going to be able to do it under this pressure? That's the question mark. It would be a tremendous bonus if Max and Salim come and show us what they've been able to do in the past, and veterans can do that.
Yep.
You've seen a veteran get hot one week and be able to carry a team, and Max is certainly capable of a tremendous hit. You know, I could see one to left center.
Somehow he led the league in triples this year. What were the odds on Max?
Exactly, but I think that's something that, you know, would definitely be a calming influence. If Max can get some big hits to go with Navy, that's a dynamic duo that I think could take this team to the finals.
Okay, so now let's go over across the way to Fireman's East, where we have a very, very interesting matchup. But before we get to that matchup, what do you think of Butter going down with a whipper? Two blowout games.
I just took a train ride home, and I've been knowing we were going to do this. I'm just looking at it and thinking it over. And you know, last week I put a lot on David Farka to carry the team. And you know, you look at the stats. He didn't have a great week, but he also didn't play. You know, he hit a home run in a meaningless game. He got a couple of hits in the other game. You know, you hate to put it on the Leo Tuna battle, but Leo clearly showed up and faced and Tuna faced a lineup that's missing Henry. And now Henry's not Henry what he used to be, but we've been finally waiting for the White Walkers to show up and just take care of business, and that's the team that showed up. And I think that it's a very scary matchup for the Maccabees coming up, because if this team gets Henry back and started to find their mojo, they're the hot team. We've been waiting for them to click all year. Best infield defense. Can they be timely hitting? Is Leo finally becoming the Leo that, you know, a few years ago he's won a tournament, he's won here or there, the Untouchables won without him? Is he ready to stamp his and solidify his spot as I'm a pitcher in the YMSL every year? Don't ask me if I'm playing, don't ask me if I'm pitching. I'm one of the core 6 or core 7. I'm not the 8th guy and you're going to replace me with some young guy coming up. I'm in, I have my spot. And I think he may have sort of done that last week. I think it's a big step that he separated himself from Tuna, who's going to be called Tuna. And he's back as Tuna for the rest of his life.
No, Leo this year has been very, very consistent, which was his issue.
Yeah.
Really low on the walks, doesn't walk anybody anymore, throws strikes.
He has the infield defense.
And he has the defense.
And I think that's the key. And I think if they can come up with the hits, and you know, I think he can go toe-to-toe with Mikey, and it's going to be a battle of two very veteran professional ball clubs. Another one you're thinking off the top of your head, you're thinking it's going to go 3. Now we could always get surprised on who we think, you know, a break here or a break there, but very, very great matchup.
I just think they're so similar, these two teams. Like you said, the two infields are both probably the 2 best infields in the league. Then you have the outfield, you have the star and center, whether it's Greenberg or A.B. Cohen. It's just very, very similar squads. And you have Mikey and Leo on the mound, and Leo has stepped up. I don't even know how I'm going to pick this right now as I'm sitting here.
I would think that there is a difference with Mikey and Leo.
Okay.
I would think that, you know, Leo's done it in the first round, but Mikey's taken the team to the championship and multiple years been the number 1 seed and has proved he's a dog. And I think that there are, if everything stayed even, and you said that A.B. and Greenberg washed, and the defense washed, and they play close games, I think that Mikey is probably the difference that would make me think Maccabees win. But things aren't created equal. You know, is Mo Shama going to finally hit? We touched on it last week, but they had the bar this week. He's here. You know, Mo Shama, to me, is the difference of the Maccabees winning the whole thing. Now, winning this week, maybe they've gone to this point without him really hitting, and he could do intangibles and run the bases and play great defense.
You're waiting for Mo Shama to have his 4-for-4 game.
If they want to win and beat Nate B eventually, Mo Shama is going to put his stamp on this series. It has to. So when's it going to happen? And if that happens, when down the road does it happen? Does they need it this week? I don't know if they do, but I know that they can't rely on, AB outplaying Greenberg or their defense outplaying the other defense, because we said they're very evenly matched. So this would be a perfect time for him to come out and take over and show us why he's deserving of a number 2 pick and maybe probably a number 1 pick next year. And this is the time he usually does it.
Okay, your prediction: White Walkers versus Maccabees.
I'm gonna take I'm gonna take a split this week.
Okay.
But I definitely think that after the split this week, should I pick the series? I think I like the Maccabees in 3. I do like the Maccabees in 3. I think Mikey is a little bit more battle tested. I think nothing will take the wheels come off. If they lose big in game 1, he'll be back there in game 2. And I think that Leo's a little bit shakier, whereas he's been good limiting the walks. If they get in his head a little bit, how's the mental makeup gonna carry him into a lose game 1? Will they bounce back and win game 2? Very, very difficult. And in a game 3 on a Friday or on a Sunday morning with all the pressure and focus on it, will he be able to lead the team? I like Mikey in the matchup.
Okay, so I am also taking the Maccabees, and the reason is because both lineups are very similar. They're very deep. And I'm looking at the bottom of the lineups because these pitchers they can't work all 7 innings. They got to have an inning where they could go on cruise control, get 3 outs in a row. Next inning, they get an easy leadoff guy.
Play the lineup to where the bottom is coming up,
exactly.
and you can get out of an inning where you can walk a guy and your 7-8 is coming up. I'm going to get 2 outs.
So this is my point. Mikey is very, very smart. And he knows the lineups, and he knows when he could walk a guy, and you don't know it's intentional or unintentional. And he knows how to play the lineup, and I think his advantage is going to be Mikey against the end of the White Walkers lineup instead of Leo against the bottom of the Maccabees lineup. The bottom of the Maccabees lineup is veteran guys. You have Sonny batting 7th. You have Zolta or Mikey himself batting 8th.
Bats right before Sonny.
RISHTY bats 6, yeah.
Right.
So you have, and then it's a very, they both have great lineups up till 6, 7.
Right.
I like the bottom of the Maccabees lineup a little bit better because they're a little bit older, a little bit more experienced. And I think they're going to hurt Leo more than the bottom of the Walkers lineup, who carried them last week.
Right.
Raw Dog, Abe Haber, Bensta, these guys at the bottom of the lineup got all the big hits last week. I don't think that's going to happen against Mikey, so I am also going with the Maccabees. I don't know if it's going 3.
I would say Abe Haber, just one note on Abe Haber, does hit Mikey well and does hit clutch home runs in the playoffs that could maybe be the reason why they win one of these 2 games.
He has so much power.
So much power in all fields. And it's funny because they're really 2 great teams. It's a very fun matchup, and I think that the matchup that we have of the last 4 teams is probably one that in the beginning of the season we hoped for. Throughout the season, you probably thought no chance of getting it, but now that we got it, it's a treat. And I'm very excited to see both matchups, no matter what happens. But like you said, we both think that you don't think in 3.
I think in 2.
In 2.
I think in 2. I don't like that the White Walkers gave up their last licks last week. I think they're going to do that again. It worked for them last week. Right. I don't like it as a strategy going forward. Bottom of the 5th, bottom of the 6th, bottom of the 7th, when there's all sorts of noise.
When you're playing Tuna, or you're thinking you could score and you could get out early. I think when you're playing Mikey, it's not the same strategy.
Right.
It's not gonna, even if you score 1 in the first, at the end of the day, it's gonna be a close game, and this team is not gonna fold. And you want to have those last licks are so important in these games that it's surprising, but it worked for them. They got ahead and they played from ahead all day, up in the first inning and in the second inning. Crazy
Another
numbers.
similarity about these teams, by the way, both of them disappointed me in the regular season that they were like sleepwalking on random weeks, week 3, week 4, whatever, like middle of the season. And I'm like, why are the Maccabees not sweeping this team? Why are the White Walkers losing game 1 against that team? And now you're not
gelling.
Now they're gelling.
They're both gelling, and it shows the importance of, we've always said it, of playing the best baseball at the right time of the year in this league, because everything that SmackDown's done, they're scared of this matchup because they're not the hot team. They haven't played in a week. They haven't played their best ball. Maybe pitched 1 week. He missed a week. He came back. They had to buy. The other teams won 8 playoff matchups in a row because they're playing playoff baseball. And now it doesn't matter.
How about this? I just thought of this now. I didn't think of this before. The Lumber Kings, this is the first time they're not in last place.
Right.
The whole year.
The whole
They
year.
started 0-2. Everyone was 1-1.
Right.
They stayed in last up till the last week when they had a 3-way tie at the bottom. So
Right.
it's the first time they're not looking up at 7 other teams, which is just
Amazing.
ridiculous.
Amazing.
Okay, who do you like in that game? You have AB Saka, been there, done that. You have Nabi, been there, done that. Nabi has been in the World Series the last 2-3 years.
I think I was going to say it before when we were talking about it. I'll say it now, but I think that the first year Navy won, when you look at the roster in hindsight, Max did a tremendous job drafting.
Tremendous.
They had Shalou, they had Greenberg, they had Navy. 3
How?
first-round picks.
How did they have
And they
that?
had multiple guys. That was one of the best teams. That was a stacked team. He won the World Series.
Yeah.
Last year, Zach picked him. So you had him and Zach on the same team through the draft loophole of everyone having a chance to get an AB. The best
Right.
player in the league got an AB. And then he made a great move and he traded up and he got Jake, which was like the big 3.
Yes.
And they were cruising and then Jake missed in the World Series and they lost. And it threw them off. And I don't think that this year they have that type of team. Max has done it a lot of different ways. Young players stepping up. Navy driving the ship and being Navy, and he's gotten them to this point. But I don't believe that Navy alone is what made the success of the last 2 years. I think Navy is a big part, but he's had help offensively and defensively. And I think this year, this team, Navy, goes home Sunday.
Wow. Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh my God. That
better
is
day.
shocking. So
Navy, if you want to play in the July 4th tournament, you sign up now and you'll be able to play.
okay, so
And I have the number 2 pick. I'll draft you.
I think the number 2 pick, you're saying he's not going
Well, after
anymore?
Sunday, he gets swept in the playoffs, and his stock drops a little bit.
So, okay. I think Lumber Kings are so hot. We spoke about it already. It's such a tough pick to make, but Nate B always gets there. He always manages to get it
He's
done.
gotten there. The last 2 years, he's definitely gotten there. You can't deny it. But when you look at the fine print, you got to look at the guys around him. You know, he's doing it, and he's done it, and he's won games. But is that team around him the team that you think is unbeatable? I don't see them as unbeatable. They haven't gotten tested. They've been playing from out in front, and with that cushion, you're coasting. You know, they were never in pressure of, I'm not making the playoffs.
Right.
They're playing for, and they pretty much had the bye with the way that every team played each other, and White Walkers and Maccabees played each other the week before the finals, before the end of the season, so they were going to knock each other out. Something was going to happen, and Navy missed a week. They really had the bye locked up from week 4. So, you know,
They
not
did.
playing meaningful ball, and this Lumber Kings team has been playing elimination baseball for 5 weeks, it seems like. So, you know,
Okay,
they're
so
hot.
I don't
They have
want you
big
to think
bats.
that you convinced me, because I was setting this
Uh-huh.
up as Nate B has
You wanted to be
always
the guy.
gotten there. Yes.
Right.
He always gets there, and like you said, the roster is a little bit different. They're a little young. They're talented, but they're not as battle tested.
Right.
There's a couple of positions that I'm not too sure about. But bottom line is, I always have to go with the hot team, because that's what ends up winning. The years I've had the bye, I've done nothing. The years I've had to eke in to just get to the playoffs, that's when we made noise. I just think there's too much magic with the Lumber Kings. I don't know how they're going to win. Something crazy could happen again. Maybe they're going to be walking in the parking lot and suddenly they're going to get yet another life, a 10th life, an 11th life, something. But this team seems to have the magic this year, and maybe it's going to come to an end on Sunday, but I don't think it is. I'm going Lumber, doing it the way they do everything, the hard way. I'm going Lumber in 3.
Wow. So
Yes.
when would the 3rd game, would that be a Friday? Could we get a Friday game?
It
on that
could
game
potentially be a Friday if the teams agree. It is the day after the tournament, so we got to
Right.
see if everyone's going to commit
plays
to
and
that.
How everyone wants to do it.
Obviously,
It would
AB
be
Saka
so
is
great.
playing.
It
I
would
would
be so
love it
great
for a
on
Friday. If not, we'll do it on Sunday morning, and we'll do the World Series Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. Just
So
one
when
game.
could we get, if it's going to be a Sunday afternoon World Series start, could we get a little bit of a later start for the game 3, maybe at 10 o'clock,
We can.
10:30, so we could get people there?
We can.
Because that 8:15 game, I think it was also a little bit weird this past week with One Hit and Lumber playing so early. It like allowed the teams to sleepwalk through the game. There was no energy from either team to start,
Yes.
and there was no one there from either
So-
team to start. So as people started to creep in, the pressure of the game started to mount, and maybe you walked in and you said, "I heard Michael Cheer made 10 plays," and then no one saw any of the 10
No
plays.
one
No one
saw-
saw the errors he made. I see.
I see.
But you know, getting
So
people there, I
yes,
think
so
is
that
important,
was a
'cause
situation where we
semifinals
needed
game-
to get 3 games in.
Right.
This situation would be only 1 game.
Right.
We could start at 10 a.m.
Right,
You know,
right.
and
No-
have everyone
no
there
rush.
for 1 game, and then come back at 5 p.m. for the World Series. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe there's 2 sweeps, and we play 2 World Series games at 9 a.m. Who knows how it's going to be?
And we're only playing Firemen's. This Firemen's is a 2 fields from now on.
We have Firemen's for this week, the following
Beautiful.
week, and we should be on Firemen's every week from here
Unbelievable.
on in.
Very exciting.
Okay, so we have the same teams, but we have different amount of games, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll be proven wrong.
How many games did you have? White Walkers.
I have Maccabees in 2, and I have Lumber Kings in 3.
Okay, so I have the opposite. I
You have Maccabees in 3, Lumber Kings in 2. I cannot believe neither of us took SmackDown. I thought I was going to shock you with going against the Navy.
I think that we've both been around the block enough to know
There
that
you
the
go.
hot team wins, and we'll both probably be wrong, and Navy will sweep, and it won't even be close.
Has not
'cause
been the
that's
first
how-
time.
But you know what? You've been hot with your picks.
I've been very,
you've
very
been
hot.
Very, very hot. Riding the heater. And you know what? It just kind of makes sense that, you know, and maybe this video helps them refocus in, not thinking that everyone's going to come and automatically pick SmackDown every week because,
Right.
you know, Navy's going to do everything. And it'll give them some extra motivation, but I don't think AB Saka cares what happens. He's going to come in, he's going to make you beat him. So either they're going to earn it, which would be great to see, or they're not. But
What a performance on Sunday. He was about to go 21 innings and give up 1 run until the
Crazy.
Phillies woke up from the dead.
And I heard it was a
innings, 1 run.
scrappy inning. Like they didn't. There was certain things that went against AB.
A lot of
his
things.
Defense that it wasn't like they came out and they started hitting him all of a sudden.
But until that point, he wasn't even sweating yet. He was cruising through 3
Crazy.
playoff games like it was
Crazy.
nothing. His D played great. And I'm telling you, Mo Mala, Avi Dweck, Joe Eshko, these guys are stepping up. Mo Harari, Nanu. Nanu
Yeah.
is having a year he doesn't get out every time
he
he's
really
up.
Nanu, you know, made a statement from the day he was drafted.
Made a statement, he
but
backed it up.
is
But now he's
something
got to back
impressive.
it up against Navy. He's not facing Leo. He's not facing Tuna. He's
But you know
not
what?
facing
It's
any-
not the type of game where you're saying, you know what? When I have AB Saka on the mound, I'm not thinking I need to back it up and we got to put up an 8 spot.
No,
it's
you need
almost
a
like
2
we're playing
spot.
Max.
Right.
We just played Max and they beat him 2-0. AB Saka, you're the horse, you're the heart and soul, you're the captain. You know, we're gonna score 3 and you're gonna give up 1, and that's how we're gonna win both
Jack,
games.
I cannot wait for Sunday. I know
neither.
all 4
Very
teams.
excited.
I know the fans. No one can wait for Sunday. Is it Sunday yet? It's coming. We're a couple days away. We will see everybody at Fireman's Field. I want to thank our softball playoff analyst, our Ron Darling over here, Mr. Jack Abady. Thank you, buddy.
See you next week.
And we'll be back. Thank you.